Glenn, here we are on the eve of your Premier League defence. Nervous, excited?
Yeah, both of those things, Phil. Practice, heavy in practice right at the moment. I'll probably just dip down to maybe an hour a day now, going into travelling down on Sunday. But, looking forward to Monday. It's you dream about being in the Premier League, and I've got to keep reminding myself that is the case.
You say you've done some soul searching of late. I know that you've been disappointed with your game. How is it, and how have you put it right?
I'm hoping it's going to be all right on the night. I'm definitely a TV player in front of the cameras. I play my best games there. Only I could get to the last 8 of a world championship playing like I was, and I was only a dart away from playing Dirk and beating him, and I was in no form whatsoever. And I was fighting and scrapping, and the draw opened up with Beaton going out and Damon Hetter going out, etc. So, but I knew deep down that since about August last year that something's crept into my game, which has affected my confidence, and it's been a very difficult period.
You say something's crept in. Have you identified that?
No, unfortunately not. I'm trying so many things, whether it's the mind, technique, whether it's breathing, whether it's a change of equipment. I've tried many things, but the back to basics approach, back to the pair flights, the darts that got me 117 average on tour, beat Michael van Gerwen in Blackpool. So, I've tried pretty much everything, but in the end, I just think a huge game against Nathan could be exactly what I need right now.
You won all your world titles and arguably the best parts of your career when you had a work-life balance. Is that something maybe you've struggled with since becoming a pro, not having something else in your life to distract from darts?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things on the list of 20. I was maybe doing too much working from there. So, I have followed the form of Merv King, who's been working with, Amazon, etc. So, I do keep an eye on that. I've just recently moved house, so I've been busy with that sort of side of things there. But, I have been looking at how at my time management, and have I got lazy by being at home, etc. So there's everything I'm trying. I'm looking at absolutely everything.
And how do you approach these blocks? Because normally it's 16 weeks on 16 weeks, but now we're in blocks. Is it block by block for you?
Yeah, I do feel a little bit cheated that I'm not going to Dublin this year, to Aberdeen, to Newcastle, etc. That has been sort of taken away from us because you cannot beat the crowd. That's something I've learned over the past 12 months, that the crowd do make darts. But, fair play to Sky and to the PDC. It is second best when you're up there. It does feel like you're playing in front of a crowd at times. And, there's no mourning from me. I'm playing in the, for me, the second biggest tournament in the world. It's an absolute joy to be in the Premier League. And if I can get half the experience I had last year, I'll be a happy man.
And does it give you some confidence that not everyone in this Premier League field is actually in form at the moment?
Yeah, you've got to feel for people like James Wade, Joe Cullen, Chizzy, Michael Smith, who I'd have Michael Smith in the Premier League every year. He's so exciting to watch and so much talent, etc. So there's 4 or 5 players who were sat there probably thinking, that there's players that they can beat next week, and me included. I've looked at the predictions of the professionals. I've looked at the predictions of the crowds where I'm going to come plumb bottom. So I can understand that. If I was a racehorse, my last 3 races would be nowhere pulled up. So I understand the situation I'm in. But if nothing can inspire me, then live on Sky, Premier League, if that doesn't lift me, nothing will.
Glenn, pleasure as always, mate. We look forward to Monday. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Phil.
Hi, Glenn. How are you?
Is that you, Phil?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, hello, mate. Yeah, now I can see you. I'm good, thank you, mate.
You will obviously be hoping that the Premier League can reignite you, because we haven't really seen the real Glenn since. Well, not that you felt that you played well on that night, but that's the last time you really were at the forefront of the sport.
Yeah, you used the word hope in there, and that's the sad realization that I'm in right now, where it is a bit of hope rather than expectation, and that's quite difficult to sort of comprehend, because I've always been full of confidence, full of beans, #1 seed in the BDO for many years, huge target on my back, handled 18 months in the PDC like a fairy tale. Yet, the past 6 months have been really difficult. And, I'd be lying if I went and said I'm full of confidence, ready for Monday. But I need a spark from somewhere. I need something to reignite my career moving forward. And if the Premier League can't do that, nothing will.
How big a game is Nathan on Monday? Because obviously the Premier League can be a really nasty monster if you get on a bad run. And bearing in mind you've been lacking in confidence, as you say, a defeat against Nathan, and then suddenly in that block of days, it can get out of control very quickly.
And I'm very aware of the situation. And momentum's a huge word. If I can start like I did with Michael Smith last year, going into the Fallon game, I was in that same situation. If I lose to Michael, going into the Fallon in front of 10,000 people at Nottingham could be a terrible feeling. So I understand the situation, and I've got to remain positive and think that, the entire opposite. If I play Nathan and get off to a good start, then that could be the beginning of, the real me. And, you find out an awful lot about yourself when you're not winning. And that's probably been the best thing about not being playing so well.
That's great. Thank you very much, Glenn.
Thank you.
Glenn, you're no stranger to defending titles. Obviously done it twice with the BDO World Championship and at the World Masters before. Does this feel in many ways like that, or is it slightly different?
No, it's slightly different. I'll try and be as honest as possible. It just feel a little bit different. If I thought it, I'm thinking about lifting that trophy again right now. At this moment, I'm not looking much further than past Nathan. I'm just looking for something to get me going again. And I'm very, very capable of beating Nathan. 6 months ago, I was favourite to win these types of matches, and now it's strange to be such an outsider. People, the predictions that I'm going to come bottom, they're the kind of things that's putting fire in my belly. They're the kind of things that I'm hoping that I need that adrenaline going through my body when I get on that stage against Nathan. So right now, I'm not looking much further than week 1.
You talk about those expectations. Last year, you defied them to go and win the Premier League. Do you think they're lower than they were last year when you made your debut?
I had the same feelings going into Michael Smith. Should I be here? Am I good enough? I couldn't help but think of the Fallon game as well. And, for 13 of the 16 weeks, I was top of the league. But I think a lot of people's memory right now is, the COVID and the loss of form. It does feel a bit tough that I couldn't hold that trophy up in front of 12,000 people at the O2. I do feel like that could have, that would have been a memory that would last forever. So I don't know if I got the credit it deserved. I was the most consistent player in the Premier League last year, and then went on to, the finals night wasn't great. I was first to admit that on TV, but I think if Glen Durrant wins a Premier League, he doesn't win it by having 110 and 112 average. He wins through, hard work, determination, and 10-9 wins.
All right, brilliant. Cheers for your time, Glenn.
Thank you, Josh.
Glenn, the defence of your Premier League title begins on Monday. Are you hoping the competition can be the one that turns your form right around and you get back to your best? Absolutely, 100% spot on. That statement there is what's getting me up on the morning, getting me up to practice, because it does something for you. When you're live on Sky, the whole audience is watching you. You're the Premier League champion. There's things that go through your body that you don't get at a pro tour. And I'm hoping that brings the best out of me and, puts away, banishes all this confidence crisis talk and get back to doing what I do best. What would you say the overriding emotion is going into this season's Premier League? Excitement. Like I said, it's a real honour and a privilege to be in the Premier League. It's what we always wanted. Only 5 years ago, I was playing local league, watching Michael van Gerwen play Phil Taylor in the final, wishing, imagine if I could play in that. And not only did I play in the Premier League, I won it. And I've got to give myself a pat on the back for that. But I don't want to be remembered also for the guy who was the champion and came back and had a disaster the next year. So I'm putting my own pressures on myself. I've set very high standards, big targets.
I still have dreams and aspirations of being a PDC world champion. But you do find out an awful lot about yourself when you're down in the dumps.
You mentioned before that you're going to have to find that spark to ignite that form. What have you been doing since the last Pro Tour event and even before to try and get that back?
Yeah, I've gone back to basics. I've gone back to my original setup. I'm trying to breathe more in practice. I'm trying not to be so hard on myself. I'm doing a little bit with my mind, a real PMA, just really trying to be really positive, an awful lot, practicing in my attire, just doing things to try and get as much repetition as possible. So, when Monday comes and I'm on that stage, then I've already thrown 10,000 darts, in preparation and you can't have thoughts when you're on that stage. It's dangerous when you're thinking. So you can't think about how you throw. You can't think about breathing. It's just got to come as natural as possible. And my belief is by repetition, that's how I'll get there.
The format of the competition differs this year. You've got a block of 5 nights next week. Of course, there's going to be no crowd. How are you and how are the other players feeling playing in a block of 5 like that? And then obviously the blocks after. Yeah,
it's tough. But my opening 5 block last year's Premier League was probably when I was at my best. The problem I had is I went home for 24 hours and then the second block I really struggled. And I think I began to see the winning line as well in the second block. So I have no problems with that. But I do wish I was going to Aberdeen, Newcastle, Dublin, Germany, Holland. I didn't get them experiences. And I do feel a little bit cheated with that. But I'm very lucky man to be playing. Sky and PDC are still putting on a fabulous job.
Are you a little bit disappointed that you don't get to go to, say, Aberdeen, Newcastle, Germany, Ireland?
Oh, definitely. And Newcastle in particular, because obviously I'm a proud smoggy and there was over 500 people going. They've also got the tickets now. So that one in particular, and Holland, the Sea of Orange would have been amazing. So I think they're the two that sort of stand out that I didn't get that chance to experience. So it just makes it more determined that, I don't want this year to be my only year in the Premier League. So I've got to, the fight back has to start now.
Obviously, you go up against Nathan on Monday. Just how important is it for you and for your confidence to get off to a winning start?
I think more than other players. I think momentum is huge, and I haven't looked past. I couldn't even tell you what I played week 2. My whole focus has been on Nathan really, and probably more than anyone, I think a lot of scrutiny will be on my form rather than the other 9. I think there'll be a keen interest to see if I'm still highlighting my Pro Tour form, or am I going to be that guy who was top of the league 13 of the 16 weeks? And only time will tell.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, Glen.
Thank you.